Thank you all for braving the weather to come here today. I think we're going to get out before it snows. For those that I haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name is Melissa Murfin, and I have the great honor and privilege to be the director of the Elon PA program. On behalf of everyone in the department, thank you for joining us today for the Elon Class of 2019 White Coat Ceremony. I'd like to take a moment just to recognize some special guests that we have in the audience with us today. We are very honored to have President Leo Lambert, Provost and Executive Vice President Stephen House, and Dean Becky Nadusky, as well as our wonderful friends from Graduate Admissions, who none of us would be here without them, and all of the folks joining us from across campus today. We would also like to thank the Reverend Dr. Jan Fuller, who graciously allows us to use this beautiful space for our white coat ceremony. And as always, a special thanks to Mrs. Lynn Wentz. She starts planning this event months in advance to make sure that every moment of this day is absolutely perfect for you. And I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't thank everybody for being here. Faculty, staff, family, friends. Without all of your support, the students wouldn't have gotten through this year as well as they have. The white coat ceremony marks the transition of students from academic medicine to one of clinical practice. It reminds us that medicine is practiced most effectively when dispensed with compassion, humility, and the gift of healing. It also reminds us of the tradition of preparing those who come after us for the care of patients, their families, and even themselves. They can always be at their very best as long as they remember to take care of themselves a little bit too. It is a gift and a responsibility, but we know that they'll be there when everybody needs them. Today is a time for our students to celebrate the accomplishment of successfully completing a very demanding academic year. Sorry, not sorry. We appreciate all of you being here today, knowing that each of you have played an important role in making the day possible for the Elon University Physician Assistant Class of 2019. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Becky Nadusky, Dean of the School of Health Sciences, who joins us today to celebrate this important milestone. Please join me in welcoming Dean Nadusky.
On behalf of the School of Health Sciences and Elon University, I would like to welcome you to the 2017 White Coat Ceremony. To the faculty, staff, and administrators present from across campus, thank you for the wisdom, guidance, and support you offered our students through this challenging year of their education. To the families and loved ones here today, thank you for offering a solid foundation, a listening ear, and unconditional love to our students as they adapted to their new lives as graduate students, and to our students. As I look out at you, I see excitement, gratitude, and compassion. I see well-prepared students ready to move into the next phase of their PA education, the greatly anticipated clinical year. As I passed you in the halls and outside the Francis Center over the past few months, the countdown was on, days until the white coat. And Krista would tell me how many days. Your feelings were palpable, pride and accomplishment from a year in the classroom, coupled with both enthusiasm and apprehension about what the real world of healthcare might bring. The white coat you will receive today is a symbol that we believe in you, that you have completed the didactic requirements and are ready to advance your learning and represent Elon University in the community and clinical environments. Rather than thinking of this as a finish line, you should be prepared to start again. You will engage with new teachers, some of them who will not be PAs. You'll be challenged to think on your feet and sent back to your resources to check and double check, making sure your test, diagnoses, and treatments are efficacious. You will have moments of great vulnerability, and you should cherish these because humility is a trait often undervalued in the health professions. But most often, you'll be amazed by how much you know, how much you have learned, and how much you have grown over the past year. You are ready. At Elon University and within the School of Health Sciences, we are committed to fostering respect for human differences, passion for a life of learning, personal integrity, and an ethic of work and service. The Department of Physician Assistant Studies has taught you to fulfill the vision of learning, caring, serving, and leading. As you receive your white coat today, I encourage you to embrace those ideals and make us proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nadusky. Well, it's my pleasure at this time to introduce Mike McLamb, who's a physician assistant with Duke Triangle Heart Associates in Durham, North Carolina. You know him as Professor McLamb, an engaging and humorous frequent guest lecturer at the PA program. I know him as Mike McLamb, UF PA student, teacher, class of 1999, and also husband of Lori McLamb, 1998 UF PA alumni, and now Carborough police officer and canine handler. Also proud dad of Aiden and Andrew, and they're all here to join him today. Mike received his Bachelor of Science degree in criminology at Florida State University and his Master of PA Studies from University of Florida. Go Gators! And since that time, he's practiced primarily in cardiovascular, surgical, and hospital settings. It wasn't long after I arrived at Elon back in 2011 that I got an email saying, "Hey, Patty Reagan, it's Mike McLamb from UF, wondering if you remember me." It was, of course, accompanied by an action photo of the family extreme biking adventures. It was certainly a lucky day for our department. Professor McLamb has joined us on a regular basis since then to provide lectures in everything from gerontology, cardiology, and everyone's favorite, acid base. Yeah, I'm a big fan too. But mostly we enjoy his infamous sense of humor. Nothing is exempt from it. So at this time, please join me in welcoming Professor Mike McLamb, who will share his insights with the students on making this important transition to clinical care with his presentation entitled, "You Inspire Me."
All right. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me well enough? That has never been a problem for me. Well, thank you, Patty, for a very kind introduction that if my mother were able to attend today, would probably have her saying, "Sounds like such a fine young man. When does he get to speak?" And so I barely recognize him myself, but it's a kind introduction. I appreciate it. President Lambert, Provost House, Dean Nadusky, Dr. Murphin, really thank you for the opportunity to speak. It's great to be here. Welcome to all the family, friends, invited guests to be here on this day. And finally, most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, class of 2019, I commend each of you on your diligent efforts that brought you here. Believe me, when I drive on this campus, okay, and enter the Francis Center, there's nowhere else I'd rather be in the classroom with you guys, okay? Thank you for the invitation to be the 2017 White Coat Ceremony speaker. I really am honored. When I learned that such luminaries as President Lambert were going to be here, I promised Dr. Murphin that I would shave or try to have something smart to say. And, well, you know, we'll see. But I do hope to keep things light, and if everything goes horrifically wrong, have something uplifting to say. Two bits of housekeeping, which I didn't put in the speech that was submitted for approval. I did want to dedicate this to my mother-in-law, Gloria Myers, who recently passed away. And the second thing is, you may remember at my last lecture, I said I've got to take my recert. I'm pushing it to the end, right? And if I didn't pass my recert, what was I going to do? You remember? I was going to be a shepherd in New Zealand. So just so you know, I did not purchase a shepherd's crook, and sadly, I don't have to learn, how to do the haka. So, it's a little disappointing in that regard. So I did pass. I'll keep practicing, but now I'm in the 10-year window. So I'm 10 years to just get a little less smart each year and to have my research score go down ever so slightly the next time I take it. So something to look forward to. So the coat that you're going to receive today, it's your first as a clinician and a provider. But absolutely, it's not going to be the last. It's the short, white version we all had as students. And ultimately, it's going to find its way to the wedding dresses, baptismal gowns, and those no longer used garments. But it's an important coat to wear for the next year. You see, to patients, the white coat is a healthcare symbol of knowledge, proficiency, and professionalism. Though you'll tell your patients on your rotations that you're a PA student, they will have every reasonable expectation that you're there to participate in their care in meaningful ways. To these and all subsequent patients over your career, your white coat brings no small measure of comfort. to this vital interpersonal social contract. Now, my first white coat is long gone, last seen covering a lovely sago palm in our front yard on a cold January night in Northeast Florida. But for the time I did wear it as a student, it was laden with small pocket manuals like Scut Monkey or Washington Manual or the Manual of Surgical Therapeutics, and it had a utility belt's worth of gear that would have Batman begging for mercy. It included things like stethoscope, reflex hammer, tuning fork, and otoscope. We developed horrific tension headaches from carrying this rucksack of medical paraphernalia crammed into the white coats upon the muscles of our necks and shoulders. But we wore them proudly and with the understandable initial trepidation that many of you will have prior to crossing the threshold into clinical medicine. I'm not going to be able to calm those jitters that you may feel, but to thread off what others have said, you're prepared for this next phase, to grow into the white coat and into the ones that follow. And let me just give you a couple stories about mine. For some reason, somehow, someone has attributed the phrase, "suck it up, buttercup," to me. This may in fact end up as my epitaph, but let me provide you with some background. Early in my career, 31 years old, I've got a year of general thoracic surgery under my belt at Mayo Clinic. I joined a cardiothoracic surgical practice in Florida. My colleagues and I did the entire gamut of services: operating room, intensive care unit, clinic, consults, and 24-hour call in the hospital every second, third, or fourth night. Now don't worry, this isn't going to be about the days of wooden ships and when woolly mammoths roamed the earth. It wasn't that long ago, but it was stressful, it was demanding, it was exhausting, and I wouldn't change the experience for anything in the world. The department chief was a West Point graduate, decorated war veteran, whose authority was unquestioned by us. We respectfully referred to him as the Colonel, for that's indeed what he was. Around this time, the governing body that sets work hour restrictions for physicians in training planned to enact the, quote, 80-hour rule, whereby resident physicians, these physicians who have graduated medical school, now are working on their craft in their specialized field, these ones as surgeons, they could no longer work more than 80 hours per week. This would change how the general surgery residents worked on our service. And so in passing, we mentioned this 80-hour work limit to the Colonel, and he remarked in that Kentucky drawl that he had, 80 hours? That's a damn vacation. There was not a hint of irony in his voice. So I learned to appreciate the limitations of the 24-hour day. It was the only thing he said the good Lord had made a mistake about. I developed a set of rules as a framework, a guide, that influenced how I practice. These rules became the surgical signs of weakness. They weren't explicitly stated or written down. They were really accumulated by the Colonel's general admonition whenever we approached him with a less than preferred option, something we thought we may need to do, and he would say, well, you can do X, Y, and Z if you want. Of course, that's a sign of weakness. And ultimately, as he said these over and over, I added that one to the list, and I ultimately ended up on 5 separate ones. And I've mentioned this surgical weakness concept to students in the past. They really enjoy guessing at what one of them may be. Far and away, the most common guess is crying. Wrong. Crying is not a sign of weakness because not crying is an immutable surgical law, like Newtonian physics. It does not need to be addressed on the list. This is totally true. Students from the first and second PA classes, while on their surgical rotation, sent me a text message about what had gone on. And both of them had said, I got back to my car after my day in surgery, and I cried. Totally true. I have no idea why they wanted to tell me this, but my one-word reply, disgraceful. While the Colonel may have been very, very proud of my reply, I do hope that the students understood that I was largely kidding. So besides the 24-hour limitation in a day, we've now established that there's no crying in surgery. The surgical signs of weakness are eating, sleeping, take-backs for bleeding, consults, and calls to the attending. Now, I promise you, at one time or another, I've engaged in behavior demonstrative of each of these signs. It is further likely that I displayed all 5 signs in a domino-like fashion that, in the definitive opinion of the Colonel, ravaged a horror show of weakness upon the cardiac surgery service. But either way, there is no question that I performed each of these signs wearing my white coat. It was now a longer white coat, with appropriate PA-C credential and read cardiothoracic surgery on it. It was slightly more rumpled and carried all the tools that a good surgical PA needs. Your stethoscope, scissors, number 10 and number 11 scalpel blades, O and 3/0 silk suture on straight and curved needles, a pocket pharmacopoeia, a prescription pad, and a small notebook that contained all the pertinent information that I needed to practice in this field. In this coat, I ate, I slept, I wheeled patients back to the operating room, I called another medical service in consultation, and I called the attending physician. Initially, it was a rather rigid structure. You know, I really tried to observe things very, very rigorously. Eat a good breakfast and a dinner at home, grind away during the day. When you're on call, you just push through the fatigue so you don't miss anything, especially very good cases. You treat post-op bleeding with aggressive medical management. For the love of God, don't consult another medical service. They're only going to tell you what you already know. And lastly, you only call the colonel after exhausting all possibilities, which may include cutting the head off a live rooster to sort out your clinical dilemma. For doing so will surely provoke questions not only about your fortitude, but also your ancestry. Ultimately, refraining from these displays of weakness proved vexing, exhausting, and essentially futile. As you see, and as you've probably been told, practicing medicine is not an exact science. There is an unequivocal art to it. Patients do not read the textbooks. I know you've been told it. They do not present like those nice, neat board questions, many of which I got wrong on my research. And no 2 days are alike. I understand that this narrow, rigid approach, it required some shaping to form something more flexible. And that flexibility in that code has been of immeasurable help to me over the course of my career. Eating. Make sure you're nourished and cared for, and that no outstanding matters remain before you eat, and nourish the patients well. Sleeping. Tuck the patients in well before you consider relaxing, for only then will you both rest well. Take backs for bleeding. Complications are going to happen in surgery. They're going to happen in all medical practice. But the key is recognizing and preparing to manage the contingencies for the best possible outcomes. Consultations. If you work through a patient problem and feel uncertain about the best treatment, it's okay to ask for an opinion from someone with more expertise. Your effort to figure out the problem, plus the experience of others, make an excellent way to own that knowledge forever. Calls to the attending. Finally, keep the attending physician, your collaborative physician, abreast about what's going on with their patients. It nurtures good communication, and it develops an effective, close working relationship with your physician colleagues. And even if it's 2 a.m., because that, as my friend, colleague, and mentor once told me, is why they are the surgeon. Improving upon these surgical signs really allowed me to thrive as a clinician. Things seemed to slow down, like a great hitter picking up the seams on a fastball or a dipping curveball. I seemed to fit in the white coat and carry it instead of it carrying me. Whatever the challenges, I could suck it up, buttercup, and drive on. No doubt you'll have your own experiences shaping each of you, and I really hope your own colonel, if for no other reason than the stories you'll have. The experience will be hard, it will be imperfect, but looking back, you'll connect those dots and it'll all make sense. We finally moved to North Carolina. I continue to work in cardiac disease management, both medical and surgical, in addition to the great time here teaching at Elon. The white coats changed too, and now sometimes I wear it, sometimes I don't. But when I do, it's just got a stethoscope, a patient list, a pen, and business cards in the pockets. It is much lighter and the tension headaches are gone. I wear it confidently, trying to bring something valuable into each patient visit. Maybe it's a diagnosis, a treatment plan, a test result, or the best news of all, a discharge home. Most of the time it's routine, sometimes it changes your world. Just weeks ago, I walked into a 70-something-year-old patient's room wearing my white coat to review things with him. He had an electrical heart issue that, while not life-threatening, may require a pacemaker. After the usual introduction, I reviewed what I knew about the gentleman, medical history, his evaluation to date, his heart and electrical system, what the likely problem was, and the possibility that he may require a pacemaker, which really at the time I didn't think he needed. I got a little animated, as you may recall I tend to do when I teach. As a matter of fact, it's killing me to stand here right now. And I drew pictures on this glass board that we have, and normally the glass board would have your physician of record, who your nurse is, and stuff like that. Well, they didn't have it up there, and they may have had a few things that I just didn't think were pertinent, so I kind of erased those. And so I drew his heart system up there, explained what was going on, what we thought the problem could be, and again, what a pacemaker might involve. So I think I explained things to his satisfaction, and making sure that he understood, I said goodbye as I usually do, and that I'd see him later and check on him. Well, it was one of those door handle moments you might hear. I put my hand on the door handle to leave, and he says, "Hey, Doc." They always call you Doc. It's just the way it is. "Yes, sir." "Are you a preacher?" Oh no. No. Why do you ask?" "Because you inspire me." Inspire? Wow, I inspire him. I don't think of myself as in the pantheon of people who are inspirational, figures like Abraham Lincoln or perhaps Mother Teresa or a scientist of some kind. Oh, really? How's that? The way you explain things, the time you took, your confidence. You made me feel important. Your parents must be really proud of you. I got to tell you, I got a little emotional, and I almost violated the immutable surgical law. But I held strong, and it's really among the greatest compliments I've received. This is not why I mention it. I told him it was very kind. I appreciated the compliment. But after leaving, I really let the word inspire marinate in my noggin. I thought, I don't know if I inspired him, but he inspired me. I've never viewed it that way, patient care as inspiration. But he and other patients, they're why we're here. They put their trust in us frequently under the most stressfully trying times of their lives. When you walk into the patient's room wearing your white coat, licensed and credentialed to practice, representing your field and your medical practice, patients put significant trust well beyond mere foundational clinical knowledge. They're placing their trust in your devotion to their health. For each patient whom you see, whether in the clinic or the hospital, ask yourself this question: what can I do today to make this person feel a little bit better? And in my view, you've got to be inspired to do it, to put them before yourself. When I think of it this way, I feel inspired to do my very best with each and every patient. So it's really they who inspire me. But here's something else. You do too. When you made the decision to become a PA and to come to Elon University's PA program, you decided to pursue helping others. You set your goals. You worked hard to get here, knowing you'd have to work even harder to acquire the basic knowledge to enter the clinical phase and to get this white coat. You inspire me to be better, whether I teach in the class or guide students as a preceptor in the clinical world. You inspire me because you want to enter patient care during a most challenging time in our healthcare system. You will graduate. You will pass your board exams. You will don a new, longer white coat to begin clinical practice. As you begin and move along in your careers, keep asking, how can I help this patient feel better today? They will get better, they will be grateful, and they will inspire you just as you have inspired me. Thank you very much. God bless you. Have a wonderful vacation, Hanukkah, Christmas, and New Year. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you, Professor McLamb, for your words of wisdom. We have now arrived at the exciting time when each of the students will receive their white coats. We respectfully ask everyone to remain seated during this time and hold your applause until everyone has received their coat and recited the PA oath. Faculty, will you join me?
Mark Benning. Anitha Buvenas Warren. Grace Blackley. Jana Castiglione. Rose Klausing. Bethany Eaton. Douglas Edinburgh. Christy Edmiston. Shonda Felton. Laura Gardner. Brittany Hall Potvin. Katie Harper. Kristen Harper. Jesse Hemrick. Krista Hubert. Madeline Jensen. Lauren Lover. Caleb Markusik. Brianna Maroda. Hillary McDonald. Kristen Moore. Brandon Morelli. Dylan Plocky. Selby Rao. Elissa Sachs. Hajer Saki. Zach Schultz. Rebecca Scott. Karen Siege. Lucy Skeen. Rebecca Spaeth. Brianna Spawn. Nicole Stevens. Madison Tedrow. Jessica Tebow. Jacqueline Visser. Matt Wallman. Michael Whitehurst. I think we should have a round of applause. Professor Tracy Thurnes will now lead the class of 2019 in the Physician Assistant Oath.
I didn't even have to tell you to stand. All right, you ready? I pledge to perform the following duties with honesty and dedication. I will hold as my primary responsibility the health, safety, welfare, and dignity of all human beings. I will uphold the tenets of patient autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice. I will recognize and promote the value of diversity. I will treat equally all persons who seek my care. I will hold in confidence the information shared in the course of practicing medicine. I will assess my personal capabilities and limitations, striving always to improve my medical practice. I will actively seek to expand my knowledge and skills, keeping abreast of advances in medicine. I will work with other members of the healthcare team to provide compassionate and effective care of patients. I will use my knowledge and experience to contribute to an improved community. I will respect my professional relationship with the physician. I will share and expand knowledge within the profession. These duties are pledged with sincerity and upon my honor. I think that deserves a round of applause. All right, you all can be seated, and at this time, we're going to hear a few words from the students. And so Laura Gardner, class vice president, will be followed by Gracie Blackley, the class president.
Wow, this coat is really white. All right, so for those of you who do not know me, my name is Laura Gardner, and I am honored to be Elon class of 2019's Vice President. It has been a privilege to work alongside my dear friend Gracie, class president, EPAS execs, and faculty to make this first year truly exceptional inside and out of the classroom. Speaking of being in the classroom, I am truly grateful to be standing here today, and out of room 236. My back hurts just thinking about how many hours we have spent sitting in that same chair day in and day out. But what a privilege it was to even have been in that chair. I think I remember hearing the numbers at the beginning of this year. Something around 38 students applied and were contenders for the very seat that I sat in all year long. That is 38 people for each of the 38 of us. I think we did the math yesterday, and it was somewhere upwards of 1,300 people applied. They applied, they interviewed, they hoped and tried like heck to get into this program. How blessed are we? And that is in part in what I want to reflect on today, being grateful for our blessings. As some of you know, when I was on my way up to Cincinnati to visit family this past Thanksgiving break, my car broke down about 45 minutes outside of town. Done. That's it. Only 45 minutes outside on the road, and semis were passing me going uphill. And if you know me, I have a bit of a lead foot, so that is not happening very often. I know something was very wrong, and I pulled over at the nearest exit, going about 5 miles an hour at that point. And from there on out, I experienced one of the most magical afternoons ever. Everything fell out of place and immediately fell right back in. I ended up spending 7 extra hours in North Carolina. I love you, North Carolina, but not that much. And I met some of the most giving, helpful, and selfless people that I've ever encountered. And at the end of it all, I made it home in a rental car with a free cup of coffee from a local Wendy's. I was blown away by the kindness and generosity shown to me by complete strangers who had no reason to go out of their way to help me, but did anyhow, and then some. And although I was not a complete stranger to the faculty and staff here at Elon, when we first met in person, they had seen my application already after all. They immediately treated me like family, with the same kindness and encouragement that I get from my mama. For that, I want to share my gratitude. I am grateful to Mike McLamb for agreeing to come in today and sharing his words of wisdom, in addition to his countless lectures and allowing us to call him Monkey Boy. Thank you. I am grateful to Dr. Reagan and Dr. Murfin for steering this ship on course the entirety of this past year, and for making the transition between leaders so seamless. It is nice knowing that Dr. Murfin, is looking out for us now, so much so that she even invited each and every one of us to her home to share Thanksgiving dinner with her. Who else can say that about their program director? And now, Dr. Reagan has more time in the classroom to tell us about infectious diseases and her favorite letter of the alphabet, which is C, as I recall, because it stands for cats, Christmas, candy, her mom's name Charlotte, and comparison. Strange that it isn't D for doxycycline. I am grateful to Dr. Bennett, who could not be here today, for being exactly the kind of person and practitioner that I aspire to one day be. Someone who is passionate, enthusiastic, smart as all get out, and humble in her personal and professional life. Also, being a fan of Asheville never hurt in my book. I am grateful to Professor Lynch for his pep talks, and for making me look up the dictionary definition of gestalt. See, Jenna, I promised you I'd fit it in. I am grateful to Professor Ramos for being an amazing advisor and for her desire to want to make this PA program the best that it can be. You are always asking for our feedback, how we can make next year even better. Also, those sweet potato noodles were fab. I am grateful to Professor Thurnis for making cardiology approachable. Coming into PA school, that was what I was most nervous for. That and this speech today. Hi, everyone. And you eased us in with confidence and grace. I'm looking forward to working with you more as the next year approaches. I am grateful, too, to Dr. Duffy for making the world of little people so fascinating and so gosh darn cute. Knowing that pediatrics is my first rotation in January is exhilarating because of you, and I am so excited to share my experiences with you in the new year. I am grateful to Professor Moore, who taught us everything we know about how to conduct a patient interview and exam, for helping me get over my crutch of saying, "Alrighty," in response to literally everything the patient told me. Alrighty. You've pushed me to be better, a better person, and a better future PA. And as a future PA, I am proud to be coming from a program that has you as a part of it, and that has molded us into one of those Elon PAs. I am grateful to Ms. Skillman for always encouraging our confidence and for always having a kind word to calm our nerves. Your words echo in my mind, always. I am grateful to Dr. Nunez for teaching us all about behavioral medicine and for sharing some of her personal stories with us. I know now that I do not have much interest in riding on subways. Oh, goodness. I am grateful to Ms. Wentz and Ms. Policino, who deserve 1,000 untold accolades for all of the support they provide for us on a daily basis. We will never truly know how much you do for all of us. Thank you. I am grateful to Mrs. Turner on helping us keep our lives in order in preparation for clinical year and keeping track of all of our certification paperwork. There's a lot. And I promise you, we are sending you the rest of our forms as soon as this speech is over. I am grateful to Ms. Person for her dedication to the Elon Anatomical Gift Program and making our experience here at Elon so enriching. I cannot wait to see how the program continues to grow over the next couple years. I am grateful to Dean Nadusky for coming to Elon and the School of Health Sciences and for joining our family. It has been a true pleasure to have you on our front lines, and I am confident that with your energy and your fondness for tailgates, that this family will continue to grow closer and stronger still. And to our medical directors, lecturers, and adjunct faculty, I am so grateful for each and every one of you for holding our hands through our uncertainties and for sharing common loves like bluegrass, platypuses, platypi, and tassels. You have made us all into better people and future providers, and I hope to make you all proud. Okay, I promise I'm almost done. To my classmates, my lovely classmates, I am so grateful for each and every one of you. You all have signed 1,000 birthday cards, fit a bajillion people into my apartment for a joint birthday party, and joined in many a potluck. You have let me play on your intramural teams. I'm sorry, Daddy, I still was on the sidelines during our basketball games. But I promise I cheered the loudest, and I did not make a basket into the other team's hoop. You have hugged me, you have cried with me when the going got tough, and you all have encouraged the heck out of each other. My family grew so much larger this past January, and I just didn't know yet how much larger my heart was going to grow as well. You are the kind of people who gift in cheesecake, in tea, and massage gift cards, the kind of people who do right by their friends and their loved ones, and the kind of people who will one day do the same for their patients. You all have made me want to be a better PA and a better human being, and for that, I am grateful. And last, but certainly never least, to all friends and family in attendance today, we are all grateful to you and your endless support, your encouragement, your energy, and dedication to us. Your late-night phone calls, care packages, photos of pets, picking up extra shifts at work, and caring for children near single-handedly. The sprinkling of hilarious memes didn't hurt either, has given us all the energy and willpower to muster through this year. We love you. I feel with gratitude, confidence, and joy that we will make it through this next year as we have this one, together, with our heads on our shoulders and our feet underneath us, confident and able to take a deep breath, put a big smile on our face, knock, and enter. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Grace Blackley, and it has been my honor and pleasure to serve this year as the Elon PA Student Society President for the class of 2019. Thank you all for being here to celebrate with us today during what is a happy and exciting, but also a cliffhanger of a moment in our lives. I was speaking with one of our professors, Dr. Bennett, last week about our state of mind as we prepare to don our dazzling, freshly starched white coats and take the plunge into patient care. Dr. Bennett likened this time to standing on a beach where the sand seems to be shifting beneath our feet. It's an anxious time, but an exciting one, a time to wiggle our toes and stretch our legs. I'm reacting to this time in the same way that a lot of you probably are, by taking an internal inventory of myself, my strengths, my weaknesses, my fears, things I could have done better this year. Better, that's the word that's been on my mind. Dr. Atul Gawande observes in his book, Better, A Surgeon's Notes on Performance, that better is possible. It does not take genius, it takes diligence, it takes moral clarity, it takes ingenuity, and above all, it takes a willingness to try. It is less than 1 month before clinicals begin, before we lay hands on actual patients, when our clinical knowledge and skills will be truly tested, when that moment will inevitably come, when each of us will be confronted by the reality of not what we do know, but what we don't know, and just how much more we have to learn. Yes, we're smart and we're motivated, and we've come a long way this year. We're good, but if we're really good, we won't let that moment discourage us. We will stop, take a deep breath, and allow that moment and others like it to show us how to be better. Dr. Gawande speaks of the importance of having a willingness to try. I've tried to do a lot of things this year. Wake up on time, exercise, memorize the names and actions of every muscle in the body and nearly 1,000 drugs we learned in pharmacology class, ace every test, finally learn how to spell the words diarrhea and hemorrhage correctly. That does not mean those things actually happened, but I tried. Thank goodness for spell check. Dr. Gawande's words got me thinking about what it means to try in this brave new world we are about to enter, where there are real people with real problems and real pain, where the pivot between life and death is no longer simulated by a computer program, a plastic model, or a standardized patient encounter videotaped for later scrutiny, where the trust and confidence between patient and provider can be broken in an instant, where one wrong step or word can make a huge difference in the way a patient perceives the quality and efficacy of his care. The pressure is on, and it's hard to imagine that our success could actually hinge on such a puny, tentative little word as try. One of the reasons we're here today is because we are not good with failure. Yet we understand that there will be times next year when we will fail or simply not succeed beyond our wildest dreams as we attempt to put our knowledge and skills into action. There will be moments when we are in over our heads and out of our comfort zone. It is entirely likely that we will say and do well-intentioned but nevertheless unhelpful things, over which we might later lie awake, agonizing in the wee hours. We will not get things right every time. But as author James Joyce once said, mistakes are portals of discovery. These discoveries might not always be easy, but they will be valuable and unforgettable additions to our knowledge, discernment, and experience for the work we have chosen to do. They will make us better physician assistants. While knowledge and experience will take us a long way, there are two other qualities which are crucial to our success as healthcare professionals. They are compassion and empathy. Professor Moore taught us this year that empathy is a muscle. It must be exercised over and over every day during every encounter and every interaction until it becomes strong and consistent, a more innate part of ourselves. Empathy and compassion are intuitive, but are also concepts which can and must be worked on intellectually. We owe it to our patients and to the honor of our profession to try to become better at empathy and compassion and employ them constantly and thoughtfully. And above all, we must never underestimate the magnitude of our actions, for better or for worse. For as Dr. Abraham Burgess writes in his book, Cutting for Stone, the world turns on our every action and our every omission, whether we know it or not. As we use our newly acquired knowledge and rapidly accumulating experience to help and heal all kinds of people, we are called to be better, more disciplined, and caring professionals. To begin each day by remembering that everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind, always. Love and luck go with you, class of 2019, as we scatter to celebrate, rejuvenate, and very soon begin our clinical year. We're on our way and we're good, but better is always possible if we are willing to try. Thank you.
So about those 1,000 drugs, I know we didn't quite get there, but don't worry, there have been about 10 more approved since class ended. So congratulations to the class of 2019 for completing the first chapter of your PA education. All of us look forward to hearing wonderful things about you as you enter clinical rotations in January. We have learned so much about you during the last 12 months that you have spent with us. You are amazingly smart, you are incredibly thoughtful, and you are wickedly talented. You chose a great team for your class leadership, and all of you have pitched in every step of the way to help each other and to help the community around you. When one of you has struggled, there has been a safety net of classmates around to help catch you and keep you going. As a class, and under the leadership of your faculty advisor, Dr. Cindy Bennett, you raised over $17,000 for the patients being served by the Open Door Clinic. Even with all of the tests and quizzes and assessments and all those things, you still are having fun and smiling. You are truly a very special PA class. You can understand why we expect to hear more good things about you during your clinical rotations. We feel confident that you will advocate for and make a difference in the lives of the patients for which you care and the communities in which you live. It is an exciting time to see you move on to this next step in your journey. I got through it. There are tissues down here. One year I will, not this year. This concludes our ceremony. In just a moment, I will ask the class of 2019 to stand and file out to the hall entryway where they will assemble for their class photo. Once our caterers have finished their last-minute touches, we'll invite all of our guests to enjoy the desserts and drinks that are located in the back of the room till the students will be able to join you again in a few minutes. Please stand. One more round of applause.